Now it's time to bring in Eddie Ghabour, co-owner of Key Advisors Group in Delaware. He's also the author of the Amazon best-selling book, Common Sense Bull. Eddie's a good friend of mine and a regular here on The Income Generation, but I'm sure you've also seen him recently on television networks like Fox Business, CNBC, Fox News, and so on. Eddie, thanks so much for being part of our show today.
Thank you for having me, Dave. It's always a pleasure.
So you heard some of our viewers that called in with questions that they had for me. Well, what are the two major questions that you get from people in Delaware that either look you up or come to one of your workshops and come in to see you?
You know, two of the main questions I get, first off, is one that I know you've gotten a million times in your career, is how much money do I need to be able to comfortably retire? And the second question is, as I get to retirement, how much risk should I take with my portfolio? Those are really some of the most common questions that we get here on a weekly basis when we're meeting with new potential clients that we're interviewing. And look, as you well know, the answer to those two questions are not just a blanket answer for everybody. It really depends upon their situation. You know, your lifestyle has everything to do with how much money an individual needs in regards to retiring, because some have a much higher standard of living in regards to how much they spend versus others. So that needs to be analyzed on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah, I'm sure if you're like me, you've had people that have retired too early and didn't really envision what retirement would look like, so they kind of just rotted away in front of the television set. Conversely, you probably had people who put their plan together nicely. They went into retirement, they started executing the plan, and they never looked back again. I'm sure it goes both ways.
That's exactly right. And that's why we tell people, as you're approaching retirement, you need to start thinking about your life plan. What are you going to do with your time? Because until you know the answer to that, you really don't know how much money you truly need to be able to live the lifestyle you want.
I said that one person who was calling and looking to retire in 2 years, I said, you have to get to it. It's 2 years. You have to build that plan and see what that's going to look like. So we're going to take a commercial break in just a moment, Eddie and I. When you come back, I want to talk to you about the market right now. And to what extent the market is appropriate for people approaching retirement and to what extent the market's not appropriate. And I want to ask you in general, but I also want to ask you right now, given where financial markets are today. So Eddie, please stay with us for another segment of the show. And you stay with us too. We'll be right back here with more right here on The Income Generation in just a moment. Now it's time to bring back in, literally, my good friend, Eddie Ghabour, co-owner of Key Advisor Group in Delaware and best-selling author of the book, Common Sense Bull. Eddie, thanks for sticking around.
Absolutely.
And in the stock market, in general, okay, I'm, let's say, within 10 years of retirement. I mean, I'm not, but let's say I were. What are you telling me about how much money I should and shouldn't have in the stock market if I'm that close? I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting close.
So obviously, again, it's really going to be on a client-by-client basis because some clients have guaranteed income coming in from other sources, so they may be able to take a little bit more risk. If someone's depending solely on their portfolio, we really have a rule of thumb here that you need to start dialing back the risk in the equity markets. And I don't care whether it's a bull or bear market, you need to be disciplined and take a little bit of risk off the table each year. And as you get to 5 years away from retirement, in our humble opinion, you need to be pretty defensive in how you're managing your assets, because at that point in time, you should be close to saving what you have for retirement, and taking too much risk can completely derail your plans because a major correction will take longer than that 5-year period of time to recover any major losses.
Now, I know there's no one size fits all, but if you're 5 years out of retirement, 20%, 30%, 40% in risk in the stock market, what's your best guess? Again, I know there's no one size fits all, but what would you tell our viewers in general?
If I had to answer that question, if you're in retirement right now, and I had to make a blanket answer for everyone.
5 years away from retirement.
5 years away from retirement, then I would say that you need to have 50% or less of equity exposure. And again, everyone's situation is different, but I believe that if you're carrying more risk than that, then you have, you know, a bigger chance of a major setback that could cause you to not be able to retire on time. And I never want to see anyone in that situation, because I saw it a lot in 2008. People ignored risk. They were close to retiring, and their savings, they lost over a third of it. Seems like almost overnight. And I don't want to see people make that same mistake again.
So that's a great general answer. With the 45 seconds we have left, please tell our viewers, would you change that answer at all now, given where the markets are today? And if so, how?
Well, I've been a big bull here the last few years, and as the markets hit new highs here towards the latter part of 2019, we are telling clients to shave more off. So I'm more defensive now than I have been in a very, very long time, because I think we are closer to a recession than we have been in a while. And if you have cash or a defensive strategy on the sideline, you can buy the market back after we see some type of major dip.
That's an important point. So many people say, I don't want to get out of the market. I don't want to get out of the market. I need an inflation hedge and things like that. And sometimes I just tell them, you do realize you can get back in at a more opportune time. And sometimes people are so brainwashed, if you will, by Wall Street about buy and hold, they never think that they get out and get back in. So anyway, Eddie, thanks so much for being on our show again today.
Thank you very much, Dave.
And you stay with us. We'll be right back here with more coming up in just a minute on the Income Generation.